Hello, YouTube.
Hi, YouTube.
It's Unnecessary Roughness. Texas Bama this weekend. Big games. Little Dion stuff. This idiot's here. Like, subscribe, enjoy.
Yes. Comment your favorite bet. Oh, jinx.
Hello. Welcome to Unnecessary Roughness, Barstool's college football podcast, brought to you by, well, I'll let Casey handle that.
The beautiful people of High Noon. Katie always sets up a great display in front of us. So if you're watching on YouTube, you can see today she picked the 2 pool packs and the Tall Boy Peach, which is the best. The pool pack is on its way out. It's a limited edition for the summer. So there may be a few left in your liquor stores, your convenience stores, wherever on Drizly you get your liquor. The game day pack is coming.
Oh, no. It's here.
It's here.
It's here. September 1st. If I had more time,
Is
I
it in
would
the
have found
office?
one. Yes.
They've probably already taken them all, haven't they?
I think there's a few left. I can get them for next time.
Okay, so the game day pack is here, which is the black cherry, the pear, the cranberry, and the grapefruit.
I think so.
I believe it is. I did an ad for it and I've already forgotten. But anyways, the game day pack is here, which means fall is here. Go get your High Noon wherever you can. We've got a lot to break down in week 2. And if you're listening to this, grab a High Noon. If you're tailgating this weekend, grab a High Noon. The NFL starts, grab a High Noon. Just grab a High Noon. Hello, Brandon.
Before we break down week 2, we have to revisit week 1 one last glorious, oh my God, glorious time. Because, and listen, this is twofold reason for this being glorious for me. And number 1 is the Dabo stuff, which we'll get to in a minute. Number 2 is, since we started this podcast in 2019, I feel like I've gotten the most shit for being wrong, for having a prediction wrong. Mine come back the most. And maybe that's because Jack and Casey are right more than me. I don't know. But this is the first time I can remember a bold prediction in week 1 or bold national title prediction win against somebody else on this show. And that's Jack, how you doing?
Well, hold on. Before we get there, I'm assuming Jack and Katie and I will feel the same way. It also is probably because you're reading your own mentions the most, because I think we all get it pretty bad when we're wrong.
No, I see what Brandon's saying.
You think he gets it the most?
I mean, Brandon,
Well, I guess he is the heart and soul of the podcast. So
no. Brandon's right. This was definitely, I said it on the podcast on Monday when we were recording, man, if Clemson loses tonight, it's going to be brutal. And man, oh man, was it brutal. But, I owned it. I put it up.
Kudos to you, by the way.
Put it up on the Barstool main account. I love how Old Takes will just screenshot something and then put it up instead of using the actual tweet. We never delete things. He's retweeted me 1 billion times. I never delete them. That was the only one that actually made me mad. Like, your whole account's based off of people that actually make predictions, and then like they take the fire when they get it wrong, and then all the little minions and fucking Discord Reddit boys all run around with their 100 followers. And when can you at least retweet the account that it came from? We had the clip up. We retweeted it. We said, "Oh no, Jackman." We put it up on Instagram, TikTok. We put it everywhere. It was awful. I'm embarrassed. I don't know what to say. I really believed in what I did, what I predicted, and they lost to Duke. Like, what?
Here's my question. Do you now hate Clemson because of it?
No, I don't. It's just, that game was just the worst.
It was
How
awful.
many times did they fumble? They were just, even though you could say, oh, they made so many bad mistakes, Duke made some bad mistakes too. So it wasn't just Clemson making the mistakes. The only thing I hate about Clemson is they're fucking how it's like their name. They get mad at how you say it. Guess what? Nobody cares about you anymore. You're finished. You're over. I'll be low key about it though. If you're looking for a flyer, Clemson to win the national championship still is out there, and I think it's a great.
Well, I'm not going to co-sign that one, but
Ohio State won a national championship and they lost to Virginia Tech in the first week. There's levels to this. Like, teams can bounce back.
Jack, you're not going to double down on this, are you?
I'm not doubling down. I just think it's worth a shot. That being said, what a brutal performance. Cade Klubnik looked bad.
We're gonna absolutely rip them apart because they were the standalone game, and we're so rarely gonna have a standalone game on a Monday night. Well, we're not gonna have another one. But Clemson, and I've said this in the offseason, Clemson used to have guys at every position, and this was why, even if Cade turned out and he looked really good, their wide receivers don't scare you at all. They got nothing at wide receiver. They're average there. Will Shipley is a decent college running back, but he is not the star power they had 5 years ago. They do not have – they used to have dudes all over the field. Now they got a couple on defense, and that's it. And Cade's not that guy. And then they go out and they hire Garrett Riley, and he's going to do everything. Oh, my God, look at this new offense. Oh, my God, he's going to throw the ball down the field. He really didn't. They threw screen passes. Now, I know they fumbled 3 times, or they fumbled twice inside the 10. I know they made mistakes down there. They had a field goal block. The only reason they scored a touchdown at all was Duke fumbled a punt at the 18-yard line. That's You can make all the mistakes you want if you're Clemson. That doesn't lead to a 28-7 loss to the Duke Blue Devils. It just doesn't. And frankly, and Jack, I understand you've made them your pick, so you're going to say it's still out there. I think Clemson football as an elite level contender is over.
It's over.
Yeah, I agree with you. Thank you, White Sox Dave from the Peanut Gallery over there. By the way, if you're listening, watching, whatever, White Sox Dave is just sitting next to Brandon at the desk in Chicago. So I don't know when he's going to be chiming in and when he's not, but he is there. That is the voice you heard. I said this in the video, the reaction on Tuesday morning, that, we've been talking about it in the off season. And I think I asked the question during the ACC preview, but I said, if Clemson misses the playoff 3 straight years, is the playoff era officially dead? On paper, that's an easy answer. Yes. However, the last 2 years, they still won 10 games. And to me, that was a bigger picture of the ACC being down as a whole, Clemson versus everybody. And then Clemson having 2 losses, you're just not going to get into the playoff. The ACC is different this year, but the biggest difference for me is this is week 1. And I'm not trying to poo-poo Duke, but it is still Duke. Duke last year and this year are completely different teams. I understand that, like with Mike Elko. For Clemson to be out of the playoff race, most likely in week 1, tells me that their playoff dynasty is dead, or playoff era dynasty.
Well, first of all, Duke is a good team. Duke's pretty
good. They are
good.
a good team. Very good.
Ooh,
They went 9-4 last year, and I thought they were going to be the most disappointing team in the ACC this year because I thought they played a bad schedule last year, didn't have to play Clemson and Florida State. Well, how do you answer that criticism? You go out and thump Clemson on the fucking skull to start the season, and that's what they did. They did, Katie. They did. I
wouldn't say they did 28-7. I think Clemson beat themselves.
They destroyed them, though.
But I think Clemson
28-7. They destroyed them.
Clemson was favored by
the scoreboard, but I'm saying my takeaway was, I was just like really, honestly, halfway through my thought was this was a glorified Rutgers Northwestern game, because I thought it was just gross football on both sides.
Oh,
it was.
It's okay. That wasn't supposed to be mean.
I'm not just saying that because White Sox Dave's there. I look at that and I'm like, in my head, I saw a really shitty. Sorry, Duke won. Yes, they beat Clemson. Yes. Did Duke look, oh my God, insane? No. Like, I still feel comfortable.
I think they look pretty dang good. That defense gets after you. That defense doesn't really give you any chance to breathe. He brought in a lot of transfers. He is one of the best defensive coaches in the country. And offensively, that quarterback makes plays and is good. They can run the football. I think they look very, very good. I mean, this is a preseason top 10 team that they brought into their house and beat by 21 points. And you can say, well, Clemson fumbled the ball. Clemson did this. There was one unforced error, I thought, from Clemson that when Cade tried to do the read option and just dropped the ball. But the fumble, the other fumble at the 1-yard line, a Duke linebacker got his helmet on the ball and knocked it out. Like, that's a play. That's not a lucky bounce. That's the play that got made by Duke. So I'm not going to let Clemson off the hook and say, they beat themselves. They didn't. Duke beat them. Duke beat the hell out of them. Beat them up physically. Like, if you didn't know Clemson was Clemson and Duke was Duke, and you watched that game with fresh eyeballs, you would have guessed Duke was the one ranked number 9.
I agree with you, Brandon, because I know we got into the whole argument about like what, or debate, I wouldn't even say an argument about what upsets look like, whether it's the rankings versus the spread. I know I got Clemson when we did the college football show. It was like 13.5. I don't know what it closed at, but then to turn around and lose the way that they did, I know you mentioned it. Everybody on Twitter was mentioning it, and it is not Cade Klubnik's fault because there were a lot of mistakes that were made. But the fact that Clemson fans and Clemson, the team, and Dabo and everybody else ran DJ out all the way to the West Coast. I just hit this plant all the way to the West Coast to Oregon State and thought that this kid was going to be the savior. And he may be. I know he's young. It's one game.
He's not.
But I don't think he is, but that we've seen bad games before. But the fact that that is what they thought the problem was last year, like they all owe an apology to DJ, in my opinion. Like he was not the problem. He might have been a problem at one point. He was not the reason Clemson was not making it to the playoffs after Trevor Lawrence.
I imagine the most fun place to watch that game the other night in America was DJ Uiagalelei's apartment in Corvallis, Oregon. It had to be a party.
Can you imagine?
It had, because Clemson fans treated him like shit. They treated him like he was a poison, like he was. Once Cade gets in there, we'll be fine. Once we get our quarterback, we get our offensive coordinator. You scored 7 points against Duke. Listen, I'm sorry, everybody. If everybody wants to tiptoe around and do this, Clemson's done as a top flight playoff contender until they change a lot of stuff. Now, you could argue, is it because of the transfer portal? Dabo won't do it. Is it because of this NIL? He won't do it. Listen, I would just argue that maybe when the NIL took hold, it evened the playing field for, I don't know, how could he do such a good job at getting elite 5-star talent when you couldn't pay players, and now he can pay players, he's not succeeding at that level. Maybe some shady shit was going on. I'm just throwing that out.
Maybe. I don't hate it. Here's another thing I saw thrown around, and I think it was mostly from Clemson fans, maybe from OU fans, but there were a lot of people saying, well, maybe Brent Venables was missed a whole lot more than Clemson fans thought he would be.
I would disagree, because the defense played very well, at least in my opinion. They kept them in that game. There was some, like, obviously the fumbled punt was not the defense's doing, but I thought the defense was, obviously later in the game, it was 14-7, and then it was 21-20.
Yeah,
but they kind of but I would say when the game was truly the game, the defense was what shined, and they really made Riley Leonard's best play was kind of a blown tackle, and they were doing, but I do understand why Oklahoma fans would say that.
Actually, I'm going to be honest. I have no idea which fan base was saying it. It was just in my Instagram and Twitter comments. I still don't look at TikTok comments, so they probably are there too. But in general, the fact that Clemson fans are trying to figure out what the issue is for this team in week 1 is something that we're not used to seeing. And I don't know what Dabo's going to do, but I do know, and Brandon, you were high on them. Katie obviously was too. Like Florida State Sunday night proved that they are the cream of the crop of the ACC. North Carolina, I mean, depending on how good their defense can continue to show up, we don't know what Miami's going to look like. We'll see what happens this weekend when they play A&M, but there's a lot of things going on in the ACC. And then to see Clemson fall the way that they did on a standalone game on Monday night to Duke, that's a major testament to where this Clemson program is, and it is not good, folks. It's just not good.
If you were doing a vibe check of any fan base, every fan base in the country, the vibes in Tallahassee are the highest, because they
have to be, right?
Beat LSU. They watch their conference rival lose to Duke, and then they watch Florida just be absolutely terrible.
They were terrible.
Who is lower vibes, Clemson or LSU?
Clemson.
Clemson.
I think Clemson does, because Clemson, it feels more like an ending at Clemson than it does. Like LSU is still in game 1 of year 2 of Brian Kelly, and LSU also always bounces back. Whereas Clemson was at the top of the sport for a few years, but now they're going the wrong direction, man. They are going the wrong direction.
The wrong direction.
And Clemson with Joe Burrow, LSU with Joe Burrow, that was lightning in a bottle, right? Like that season was one of the best seasons we've ever seen in college football. We know how good that team was. That wasn't what we were used to seeing from LSU. Clemson winning 2 national titles, Sean Watson, you have Trevor Lawrence, you've got this whole idea of it, used to be Clemsoning, and then all of a sudden they were really, really good. We're talking, is Dabo better than Nick Saban? And then to have the fall, and again, statistically, they are not eliminated from the playoffs. Nobody is in week 1. Realistically, I think they are dead dogs.
I don't think they're a dead dog. I don't think Clemson's dynasty, the dynasty is over, but the era that they're in, they're still, I think, fine. Dabo not adjusting to the transfer portal is concerning, because you look around at that Florida State game on Saturday night, and all of those wide receivers they're all transfers. Johnny Wilson, Keon Coleman, maybe the third, I'm blanking on the third wide receiver, but I think he's also a transfer. That's where Clemson is missing those guys, and he didn't get anybody there, and that's really concerning. And it was definitely a choice, because it's not like transfers don't want to go to Clemson. Dabo doesn't want them. And I will say, though, I wouldn't give up on them this season. they still have. I mean, if they beat Florida State later this year at home, they are more than back. I mean, I think Dabo walks in there like right now and says, "All right, guys, what just happened was really embarrassing. We should have won the game. We didn't. We stunk. But guess what? It's still all in front of you. You have to be perfect the rest of the season, but it's still all in front of you." And I think they like I don't think they're dead dogs even close. They're closer than I thought they would be right now, though, for sure.
Do you think that Cade is still that guy, though? That's the bigger question. Dabo can say that all he wants.
No, that was a very concerning display. It didn't even feel like they tried to throw the ball down the field. It was, I don't even.
When they did, he threw picks. He got bailed out by an offsides call, but when he did, he did not throw it well.
And there was other times he would throw it down the field and it would get almost intercepted. And then there was this quote from Dabo before the game that was really concerning, where he said, they were saying, "Oh, you brought in Garrett Riley. You're really going to let him take the reins." He said, "Nah, this is still going to be a Clemson offense." So who even knows if Garrett Riley's even able to put his or implement his offense? But we'll see. I mean, it's I'm shocked by it. Obviously, I picked them to win national championship. I was so wrong.
Do we think that? Oh,
go ahead.
Do you think coordinators know when they're like interviewing for the job? Like if they're going to play call, who's like, do you think like when Garrett Riley talked to Dabo, he was like, "Hey, I'm still calling this. Like, this is my world. You're just living in it." Or do you think they find out when they get there?
I think they find out when they get there. I think it's just like recruiting. You're going to be our guy. You're going to play next year. 4 years, you're going to play here. And you get there and like, oh, well, I mean, Timmy's been here for 2 years. You're not going to beat him out. I think that's kind of what it is. And we don't know what Garrett Riley's role is fully right now. We'll have to find out. But I know Clemson fans hoped he was the answer, and he very much was not against Duke. Now, the bigger story coming out of that is not Clemson to me. It's Duke. Notre Dame has to go to Clemson later. They have to play Ohio State. They got to play USC. They also have a road trip to Duke, which all of a sudden looks very, very interesting on paper. Now, we can move on from that game.
I miss Mike Elko.
I bet you do. That's
I just like to say that again.
I already saw fan bases on Twitter calling dibs on him for next year. Florida fans already calling dibs.
Oh, I saw that too. It was just like, well, yeah, I mean, he's going to be that, that next guy could potentially be like the hottest name coming out of the season. We'll see. I mean, again, we have to react to what we see week to week. It is week one. We'll see what the season looks like. I said I missed him last year, and I was like, well, even if it's a one and done, I still miss him. But oh my God, I wish that man would return to College Station, maybe even be the head coach. I don't know. TBD. We'll see how I feel after Saturday.
At a time, TDB. We will see if that happens.
We'll see at a time.
So before we get to the games of this week and we talk about everything that's going on with a much better slate of college football, Jack, if I wanted to go to any of, and Casey too, if I want to go to any of these college football games, let's say I want to go to Texas, Alabama, let's say I want to go to Ole Miss, Tulane, gosh, how would I do that?
I know the perfect app. I think you do too, Casey.
I'll never stop talking about how they sent me to Justin Bieber, Jack. Game Time,
the exclusive ticketing partner of Barstool Sports. That's right. Created by fans for fans.
Lowest price is guaranteed.
Yes.
They've
cracked the code. You can get whether you wake up morning of, you can get late tickets and you can get great tickets.
The biggest last minute price drops can be found on the seats you thought you could never buy. What were you clapping?
I'm clapping at Brandon because he had a really good little like rhyme.
Nice. Sorry.
He high-fived White Sox save, and I just wanted to give him his credit. Just like I always want to give Game Time their credit, Jack, because my God,
skip the hassle and enjoy the moment.
That I mean, we can like be cheesy as we want, but Game Time has sent us at Barstool, sent everybody to every single event you can possibly go to that
Justin
needs tickets.
Bieber, UFC, baseball, hockey,
Brandon, what did
basketball.
you see for the first time with Game Time? Was it
hockey?
Hockey at Madison Square Garden?
I sure did.
There you go.
Got tickets to go to Game Time, to go to NHL game, and now that I'm in Chicago, I'm going to some Blackhawks games, and hopefully Game Time it helps me when it's time to go. I know I'm going to hook up that Game Time app, and I'm going to go, and it's going to be fun and great, and yay!
And the NFL is here, so
download the Game Time app today, or you can just go to the website, enter your email, and redeem code
Rough
ROUGH, just like unnecessary roughness, for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply, but hey, we love Game Time, and they will be sending us to games this year, next year, the year after,
forever and ever and ever.
Right, with Game Time, we love you, Game Time.
Can I before we do this, and I think about it, and I think Katie has said this before too. I don't know if it's just me or if because I'm just like cheesy or not. Every time they say unnecessary roughness during a game, I still smile. I do
the
smile.
Liam meme.
Does that make me a loser? I don't know, but it makes me
Yes.
happy. It makes me a loser. All right, good.
I do the
Okay.
Leo memes. I'm there with you.
Thank you,
Okay.
Kate.
The pointing.
So
Thank you.
here-
White Sox save. White Sox save is just talking every once in a
please
while.
Stop talking to White Sox Dave. Don't even worry about him.
Yeah, I don't know what this bit is, but
Yeah.
I'm just rolling with it.
am I not supposed to address him if he speaks?
No,
Not you. I'm asking.
no, I guess.
Okay. All right. I won't address him anymore.
No, I don't even.
Let me tell y'all something, okay? Back when we were in New York and I would come in there, we record, that's fine. But I got new friends now, okay? And I'm gonna hang out with my new friends. And just because he's here doesn't mean he's your friend, okay? He's mine.
Is this like a
Doesn't he
step?
have like stuff to do?
It's a good question. Isn't this like a step? Is this like the Step Brothers thing? Like when they're interviewing and like all of a sudden, like he just pops out from behind you.
Hello, Ms. Lady.
Done
Like
with the year.
Pan, I believe I can help this with the Pam argument. I don't know if I'm supposed to address him or not. I don't know.
Week 2.
So week 2,
Hold
I
on
guess.
Hold on real quick. Where in the Will Ferrell pantheon, where do you put Step Brothers?
Oh my! I hate
God.
when he talks about movies.
Huh?
Up towards the
Yeah,
top.
I would say
when
top 3, right?
When he's
I think it's Anchorman, it's Step Brothers, and what would be the third?
see,
The other
I
guy's
saw
name?
the other guys is so
What is
that's his
going on?
I
most
don't know.
recent
I'm
movie.
not
I mean,
I've
Ricky
seen.
Bobby's very good.
The other
Brandon.
guys is maybe his best work. I think.
No,
You talk
I-
football?
It is so.
I think
fucking
Step
funny.
Brothers-
The
I think Step
TLC
Brothers is so good,
storyline
yeah.
is.
Gator don't
perfect.
play that shit.
What the fuck is with Dan Waterfalls like?
All right, now stop talking.
All right.
By the way, both of you are idiots. Step Brothers is by far number 1, but whatever.
I mean, Anchorman exists.
Aren't you guys going to Texas A&M on Saturday?
Oh, they are, yeah.
Oh,
We are going to Boulder.
No, Boulder, that's same thing.
Oh.
Yeah, we're going to Boulder.
Good for you, because
Yeah.
Texas A&M is gross. Okay.
Oh, that was fucking
Convocation,
rude. It's better than
Texas, nothing to do
Starkville.
with
Also, it would
Okay.
be in.
Isn't it at Miami?
It's in
anyways?
Miami. It's in Miami. Yeah, that game's gonna be sick.
Don't if there were anybody in the company that went to the wrong city for a game, don't you think?
That would be actually very funny and like.
It's actually,
great
you know what?
content.
But
Going
you know
to
what
the
though?
home game?
It honestly wouldn't be that bad if you go to an away school.
Oh,
We
100%.
almost
Or
did
away
that
games?
this year.
I know. That's a good point. Especially like a big state
No,
school like
no,
that. Like all
no,
those kids aren't
Texas
going to
A&M,
Miami.
3:30 p.m. College Station. It's
Uh,
gonna be packed.
Northgate's gonna be popping. That game's
All
gonna be awesome. All right, so let's talk about week 2 because slate's so much better.
Week 1 had one marquee game, and that was Florida State LSU top 10 matchup. Then it had the debut of Deion Sanders, which was also earned a spot on the marquee, especially from the way it happened. And then it had the upset of Duke over Clemson, which that's a good three-headed monster there. But elsewhere, Georgia played nobody, Michigan played nobody, Ohio State played nobody, Alabama played nobody, on and on and on and on. Nobody else in the top 10 played anybody. So it wasn't that great of a slate to me. However, this week has your marquee game. It has Texas, Alabama, which the Barstool College Football Show will be at 4 o'clock on Saturday. So we got that one. We can circle that one, but I think it's got probably as good of a second-tier slate as you could have. There's so many games here. Maybe they don't involve ranked teams, but just going on, and I've been saying this for a month. I think Texas A&M Miami, I think the winner of that game is going to spend time in the top 10 this year. And I think that might be weirdly the most important game of the weekend because it's going to sink somebody's season and it's going to make somebody's early part of their season. Texas Bama, whoever loses, is probably going to be fine. So we got Texas A&M Miami. You have Ole Miss Tulane. That's a ranked matchup. Iowa State. That yearly garbage is this weekend.
It's garbage.
Notre Dame NC State. That is this weekend. Listen, I don't think NC State is something you can take. A trip to NC State is something you can take lightly. Nebraska, Colorado, which Colorado is back on the scene. Utah and Baylor, Oregon and Texas Tech. UCF and Boise's a hell of a game.
A hell of a game.
Let's just spend the next hour talking about Colorado and Deion. That's the only thing that's happening in college football these days.
Don't be an
I was going to let her do it, but
don't be an asshole. Here's a game that it could end up being completely out of control, but we talked about it a little bit on the Monday episode. SMU Oklahoma has a little bit of pop to me because
100%.
if Oklahoma handles SMU the way that they did last week with Arkansas State, but SMU's not an easy team to play every single year. Brandon, your game is not an easy game for you guys.
we're going to smoke them, Casey. What are you talking
Mississippi
about?
State, Arizona.
I like Illinois, Kansas on Friday night.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good one too.
So many good
Great spread
games.
there.
Basketball game.
There's a lot. Okay, let's
sorry.
bring it down.
You gave him too much of a rope.
No, no, stick-
You get too
hold on.
comfortable.
He's,
over
gone,
there.
he's gone now.
Stick to the plan. Stick to the plan.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you got to keep the dog on a leash, man. Sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. So I don't know how y'all want to go about talking about all these games, but I feel like the marquee is the marquee, and we will be there. So Texas, Alabama. Now, this is a game I put out my top 10 last night and on TikTok, and people were like, "Why don't you have Texas number 10 or number 9? They haven't done anything." Neither Texas or Alabama had to do anything in week 1. Texas won 37-10 or whatever over Rice, and Alabama won 56-7 over Middle Tennessee State. But both these teams probably spent all summer treating this as the actual opener.
Mm-hmm.
Both these teams probably spent the entire month of August game planning for this one and not those ones. So whatever we saw last Saturday from Jalen Milroe to make Alabama fans happy, whatever we saw from Texas, you throw it all out, because this is going to be, I think it's going to be a war. I think it's going to be a 3 to 7 point game. I think Texas has every opportunity in the world to go in there and beat them. And the number one name to know in this game to watch is Jalen Milroe to me. He was great against Middle Tennessee State. This is a gigantic top 10 game at home. If you're going to be the starting quarterback of Alabama, you have to play in these games a lot. How is he going to handle it?
How's he going to handle it?
And especially because they know that they have other options. We don't know exactly what they look like. Obviously, only people in the program know that. And Nick Saban knows that. But you know that his leash is not going to be that long, because if he makes a mistake early and they know that they have guys that can step in, then he's going to get yanked really quickly. I think that the trouble for picking this game for me now, we're recording this on Wednesday. We obviously have a couple of days before we travel to Tuscaloosa, and then we do a live show. Who knows how I'm going to feel then? But looking at the way that I picked both of these conferences, I picked Texas to win the Big 12, and then I picked Alabama to win the SEC West. I still picked Georgia to win the SEC. It's going to come down to which team as a whole I think is better. Do I think Alabama losing the SEC is still a better team than Texas winning the Big 12? I don't know that yet, but I do think Quinn Ewers is a better quarterback at this moment than Jalen Milroe. I could change my mind, but that's where I'm kind of stuck. I'm having a crisis again, because I believe in Texas more. They have less question marks at quarterback, but I still think Alabama is going to win the game when I see her on a Wednesday.
I'm going to turn your face around to the mirror of that logic and ask you this. You said you have Texas picked to win the Big 12.
Yes.
You have Alabama picked to win their division, but not win the SEC. So therefore, you think you have Texas projected higher. But I would ask you, if Georgia played in the Big 12, would you have Texas picked to win the Big 12, or would you have Georgia picked to win the Big 12?
Brandon Walker, I would have Georgia picked to win the Big 12. I agree with that. It's just one of the but I just, with Quinn Ewers versus Jalen Milroe, what I've seen Jalen Milroe do in games that matter. Now, I understand that was in 2022, but he played terribly last year when he
was
needed
also
to step
very
up.
young. It was his first.
I know.
He wasn't expected to play.
I'm not saying he's a bad quarterback, but my brain is doing that whole thing where it's like, if you think Quinn Ewers is the guy and this is Texas' year, I still think Alabama's going to win. I do. And I think I'm going to continue to feel that way through the game on Saturday. But it's definitely, last year I sat in this very room probably and said, there's no way Texas beats Alabama. Are you kidding me? LOL. And obviously we saw how that game ended up. So I think it's going to be an awesome game. I hope it is for sure. But I think Alabama just has my heart with this one, because I think the SEC is tougher than the Big 12. But I'm not going to take anything away from Texas.
No, last year's game sticks in my craw a little bit too, because I don't think anybody expected Alabama to go out to Texas and have much of a problem. I mean, Texas, remember this Quinn Ewers, he really still hasn't proven himself, but he wasn't proven at all. I mean, this was almost his first or second start last year. So he was an unknown. And if he doesn't get hurt, they probably win that game last year. It was a 17-16 game last year. Now it's in Tuscaloosa. It's going to be a hell of a game. And maybe I don't even know if I'm going to pick this game right now, because it's a sight for sore eyes to me, because LSU Florida State was, when you watched it, you saw a higher level of football talent on the field than you saw in most games. And I feel like this game's going to be the same. This is going to be an exhibition, and Texas can probably afford the loss more than Alabama. No, that's not even a probably. Texas can afford the loss more than Alabama, because I think Texas
absolutely
can lose on the road to Alabama, go to the Big 12, run the table, and get to the playoff. Alabama, if they lose to Texas, Now they have to run the table not only in the regular season, but then they would have to win. They'd have to beat Georgia in the SEC title game to make the playoffs. So I think Alabama's going to have a little bit more of a desperate edge to them. It's Jack. What do you think on this?
What do you think, Jack?
I think Texas is going to go in there and really punch them in the mouth. I really do. I understand that Alabama has possibly the most talented roster in the country. I just am not the biggest Jalen Milroe believer. That being said, I do think Alabama I'm definitely going to bet Texas, but I do think Alabama, if this comes down to a field goal at the end of the game or last second drive, but I think Jalen Milroe is going to struggle a little bit. And I think finally Texas has guys up front for the first time since Sark's been there that are, really, they have at least more guys up front but even last year, they protected pretty well in that game. Obviously Quinn got hurt, but it was more so he was kind of evading the rush. I'm excited for this game. It's going to be just awesome. Even on Sunday night, I had that feeling of when it was going on. It was like, man, this is really what makes college football great. Those two colors, those two helmets, and they're going at it. And these guys are so talented.
Yeah.
And you just felt it. And obviously the game, it was in the second half, I felt it when it was 17-14, or maybe it was 21-17. And then obviously the game got out of control. But those are the moments where it's like, this is why this sport, like, I love it no matter what. And I think we're going to have that moment on Saturday night. I hope it's a great game. I do think Texas keeps it close. I'm not willing to say they're going to beat Alabama, but I think the spread should be closer to 3.
Xavier Worthy too. I mean,
Xavier, Jalen Naylor, or Isaiah Naylor.
I would agree with Jack. I don't know if Texas has what it takes right now, because Sark's never won this game in his career. He's never gone on the road and beaten a team like this. But I think this game is a field goal game in the fourth quarter. I think it's going to be incredible. And I can't wait. I can't wait to be. I don't even know where we are in Tuscaloosa.
I can find it. Katie, what do you think is going to happen?
This game and this weekend, I think, has a special, and this is something that happens a lot with these weeks where it's like, this has a making of a special week. And then sometimes those weeks are not the ones that are special. It's the ones you don't expect. But that being said, there's so many games. I'm just looking at the slate now that are just like, we're going to have a lot to talk about on Saturday night, most likely.
All right.
Katie,
before we go into any other game.
Here, wait, hold on. I have it is at 1410 University Boulevard. It's a 9-minute walk to Bryant Denny.
I believe that's right beside 1408 University Boulevard.
1408 University Boulevard.
My God.
So here we go. Before we go any more games, I do want to kind of talk about week 1 to week 2, because
Katie's taking Texas, by the way.
Oh, I'm sorry. Katie, explain why you're taking Texas.
I'm gonna do the same thing, very similar to Jack. I think it's gonna be a really close game. Though right now, like Texas to cover, though I think game day, I might see warm-ups and just straight up switch. I've talked myself either way of this game. It could go 50-50, but right now I think the Texas cover is gonna be close.
She just threw up the horns up, which I feel like is still so disrespectful in my presence, but whatever. Sorry. It's okay.
I had to make a pick.
Go ahead, Brandon. What's he doing? Oh, disrespect. Disrespect, both of you. You and your little pawn over there.
My friend Drizly got new specs. Okay.
Got new specs.
Before we go any further with the games, I got to talk about the week 1 to week 2 phenomenon, because there is a tendency in fans to look at what happened in week 1 and say, well, that's who that team is, and look no further than this example. I really think Oregon is walking into a fucking beehive in Lubbock, Texas.
A beehive.
Oregon won 81-0 last week. Didn't have to worry at all. Texas Tech goes on the road and they lose to Wyoming in overtime. Embarrassing. They had high hopes, but now they come home. And I think, like, if I had to pick one team to bounce back from week 1 the most, I think Texas Tech is where I'm looking.
So when we did our week 1 preview, you had the categories. I didn't know if we were continuing categories.
We're going to do the.
Okay. Well, yeah, we'll talk about him.
Okay.
But that game to me is definitely on the upset alert category for me, because, I do think Oregon is a better team, but I still really like Joey McGuire. I still think that Texas Tech is much better than what they showed against Wyoming in week 1. We'll see. But that also screams one of those games for Oregon, like, oh, Texas Tech lost in week 1. It was when everybody that, is not covering college football or a fan of those teams, 2 teams were asleep. Oregon's looking forward to this stacked Pac-12, and they could just catch them in a moment. But if we're going to do categories, I'll save all of that. I didn't know if we were doing categories or how you were doing this, Brandon.
We're going to save them. Okay. Before we get to that, I want to talk about this topic right here. I asked you to bring 2 teams that might suck. Okay. Now, I want you to listen to the verbiage there. 2 teams that might suck. I don't want you to tell me 2 teams that suck. I want you to tell me, based on week 1, 2 teams that might suck.
That might suck.
Are you ready?
Yeah. I want you to go first this time.
I'll give both of my teams right now.
Okay.
Clemson might suck. Listen. Clemson might suck. Now, does Clemson sucking mean they're going to go 2-10? No, but they might go would I be shocked if they went 6-6? I don't know that I would. That quarterback is uninspiring. He has no weapons whatsoever. Their defense is good. I bet the under all year. But Clemson might suck. They might be in an era of NIL and transfer portal. They might be a dinosaur, and they might be about to go extinct. I'm just saying, I didn't say Clemson sucks. I said they might suck.
They might suck.
They might suck.
They might suck.
And then the other team that might suck, and they're probably closer to sucks, but Baylor might suck. And they might suck.
They suck.
Hard. They might.
No, I don't even think you can put might.
They're in the bounce back category this week. They have a game that they could win at home against Utah. But they're going to have to do it with a backup quarter. Oh, yeah. Oh, listen, Utah was not that good against Florida. Utah had 2 backup quarterbacks. Utah is very beatable if Baylor doesn't suck, but Baylor might suck.
Okay, here's my question. I'll do the mirror test to you. If right now, from what we saw from Florida and from Baylor in week 1, you put Florida and Baylor on the field, neutral site, who are you picking?
I think I'm picking Baylor, better coach.
Really?
Oh, yeah, by far. Two teams
Baylor or Florida?
2 teams that aren't very good, but I would take the better coach in that scenario.
I would take Florida.
I would take Florida. Baylor losing to Texas State is not like Florida losing to Utah. Those 2 are not the same.
Can I just say, I don't think Florida lost to Utah. Florida lost to Utah's backup quarterbacks. They didn't lose to Cam Rising. They didn't lose to the team that's won 2 straight conference titles. They lost to a backup quarterback with 8 starters out. That's who Florida lost to.
I think those 2 teams are comparable. It would be I think that game would be a fine Friday night game for us to watch. I would pick Florida, but I
guess maybe it's just a bias from knowing that if A&M lost to Texas State versus if A&M lost to Utah's backups, I would feel wildly different about those 2 losses.
Utah, okay.
And Utah also has a really good defense.
How much of a difference do you think Cam Rising, not Jacob Barnes, what's his first name? Harrison Barnes? Nope.
No, he plays for Golden State. It was Barnes. Barnes, right?
Blake Barnes? Yeah, I think it's Blake Barnes.
Whatever Barnes is named. Who cares? He's backup quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, he's played before. He started games before. He beat Wazoo.
He's played poorly before.
I mean, he played okay when he came in the Bryson Barnes.
Same thing.
Bryson.
We'll never forget that name.
We saw him in the Rose Bowl. Yeah, you're right. He's not amazing, but I mean, I think
Utah losing to Utah. Now Florida looked horribly doing it, but you losing to Utah is not the same. However, we don't need to make this a Florida versus Baylor conversation. I just wanted to ask you that. I think Baylor does suck. I don't think they're in the might suck category.
Well, I have another one that might suck, but I'll let y'all go first. Go ahead, Casey.
Well, no, go ahead.
No, I don't want to take anybody's.
Oh, well, I have Clemson. We don't have to repeat that. I think that they might suck for Clemson standards, which is also, when you ask Clemson fans, is national title or bust, even though they've missed the playoffs the last 2 years. This one is a big might. I want everybody listening, big might. For what we expected and for what the standards were in this year, I think LSU might suck.
Yeah,
I think LSU might suck. I don't know what to make of the inconsistency of Jaden Daniels. I was very high on the fact that I thought having an off season might fix that. But Brandon, you've brought it up time and time again. People love to look at it. I said it, with the preseason ranking, the way that team played last year and looking at the teams that they did beat versus the teams that they lost to. And that A&M game, and I know I've brought up A&M a million times, whatever. I think that LSU got so much hype because the SEC West was so down last year. They won the division. They go in to get killed by Georgia in the SEC championship. And I'm not really sure why we thought they would be that much better this year. Everything that's been said about LSU, I think that they might actually suck.
I would be shocked by that, but
I mean, they
understand why.
Sucked. Like game wins, 9 wins, 6 wins.
Might suck. I would say 7 wins.
Yeah, that would be a suck.
They're top
That would
5.
be a suck.
Yeah, they're
LSU
top
100%.
5 team. Yeah, for what LSU thought and what people expected. The game that they lost to Florida State last year was wild. You had the end of the game, had all the controversy. They lose by 1 point. They still had a fine season, but they still got beaten by teams they had no just right to be beaten by. The way they got beaten against Florida State this year, 31 unanswered points, didn't seem to want to be there. And we just don't know what the SEC West is going to look like. We also don't know who the worst team in the SEC West is going to be. We think it might be Auburn. We think it might be, no offense, Mississippi State. We think it might be Ole Miss.
We do not think that. No, we do not. Don't put that shit in the air.
Okay. Whoever it might be, it's not Alabama. I don't think. It could it be LSU? That wouldn't shock me.
That would shock me. Because
after the way they played?
Well, they did lead us. They did lead 17-14 at the half, and Auburn exists. Like I don't think Auburn's got nearly the talent of LSU.
That might be true, but I also I don't know what the hype around Auburn is in comparison to the hype with LSU. I think LSU.
When I say LSU, when I would say LSU might suck, I'd say they finished 4th in the West. I don't know that I could ever see a scenario where they're the worst team in the West. I would fucking love that. That would be amazing.
It'd be amazing.
Jack, who are your 2 teams that might suck?
So I had Boise State.
Got killed by Washington.
Yeah, they may stink. And then I was not impressed by Michigan State at all. I needed to put them in there because I just had to. They may suck. They may just be really bad. And that would just be awful for college football, man. Our listenership would drop off, whatnot. I'm just thinking about other teams that I would just label as I would want every other team in college football to suck before Michigan State sucks. It's just life sometimes is the worst. It's unfair.
Katie, who might suck?
I'm gonna go with Minnesota for one. I was just very unimpressed with Nebraska, and for them to be so close. Oh, is that your other one? Oh, okay. Also their quarterback, he sat behind Tanner Morgan for so many years, and now it's really clear why. The second one, this one is a little bit more of a reach, but Illinois, I just was not going to the end of the wire with Toledo. It's just not something you should do.
I'm a fan of Toledo though.
I think they are like favored to win the Wyndham action or high up.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, no, 100%. I think, but I almost put Illinois on that list. They should have taken care of more business, but yeah,
they got it done. So it's more of a reach.
John,
South Carolina might suck. They might be garbage.
It's a good one.
Yeah,
South Carolina is probably garbage.
That team is 100% garbage, and that sucks. And Michigan State fans, I got a lot of, and I'm going to defend my guys right now. Michigan State fans got a lot of shit for Keon Coleman on Monday or Sunday night. Hey, Jaheim Bell's right out there, man. Why couldn't you keep him, Beamer? Like, hey, Shane Beamer ball, you're a great recruiter. You can't keep your own guys in house. It's just it's too bad.
Yeah, they lost the big defender to Oregon too. They lost several things in the transfer portal. I think they might suck. Anybody else? Any might suck? Dave, you got a might.
What about
suck?
Purdue?
I got a might suck.
Who might suck?
Brandon Walker, you might suck.
Oh, here we go.
You might suck.
We talked about this before, that you were gonna be on my team.
Who's a team that you guys would be like? Who may not suck? I have one that.
Well, might not suck.
Yeah, who may not suck?
Okay, can I ask you a question?
Yeah,
may not suck.
I asked the question first.
I said, can I ask you a question?
I know, I'm just joking around. I'm busting balls.
Answer the fucking question.
Can I ask you a clarifying question about
your
question?
Of course.
I've been asked the question.
Okay,
Damn.
God damn, these motherfuckers over here.
New York, it's coastal elites.
Okay. Do you mean who might not suck based on they might not be as bad as they looked in week 1, or they might not be as bad as we thought they were coming into the season?
That's a great question.
Yeah, maybe you should let me ask it the next fucking time.
It's a good follow-up.
Great follow-up. I love when I get when I'm
Semantics.
able to ask questions too. Sometimes it just isn't available, but I will say it is coming into the season. I got a team.
The obvious one is we don't have to beat the drum, right? Colorado.
Oh, yeah, that's a great one.
I mean,
Yeah,
that's the obvious one.
I was gonna say I know Brandon's gonna hate this. I'm not sure Auburn sucks.
I don't think Auburn sucks.
And I know they played UMass, but
The point spread for Cal is interesting.
I think that's fitting.
Really?
I think Cal's good.
What define good? Like bowl win?
Yeah. Oh, well, like the Pac-12 is so tough, but I think Cal's like a top 50 team in the country, top 60.
I don't think we can put Colorado in the we're sure they're good yet.
But they
don't
suck.
They're better than expected. They're in that.
I mean, they're going to hit their over on their team total for the season. Like,
well, they should.
They should.
Yes,
they should. Obviously, when you look at the week 2 slate, the Nebraska Colorado game is up there with the importance.
Oh,
I mean,
100%.
maybe not in the, obviously the A&M Miami for like the different things. I mean, Nebraska Colorado is incredibly important.
What was that?
Oh, Che was walking by, and whenever me and Che see each other, we have to press chop. Sorry, I forgot I was on camera for a second.
No, it's all good. I didn't know if you said something. I was like, what would you?
Brandon
will have
true ADD today.
I do have one team that I need to say.
Who might not suck?
And this is really big of me. Rutgers may not suck.
Can I break character?
Please go on.
No,
Rutgers completely fucking sucks.
Okay, all right. No, I'm with you. I'm with them.
Northwestern doesn't.
No, Northwestern is an abomination to the Lord.
I think
his
point is that Northwestern sucks so much that it made Rutgers look good.
No, Rutgers didn't look good. Rutgers looked like they beat a Division III JV team. Rutgers
freshman
very bad. That's going to be Rutgers' one win this year.
Oh, hey, I'm all for that. If they lose to Temple this weekend, I'm running around Piscataway, New Jersey.
What about A&M? Or is it too soon?
Oh, I never thought they
thought they weren't. I mean, they were ranked coming into the year, Katie.
No, okay, so I guess hitting the standard of like of their players. Not necessarily what they've done in the past, but they might actually fulfill.
I was shocked at how many people didn't think they were going to suck.
If they miss a bowl game again, no, they're not. That would mean that they suck. Jimbo Fisher would have to be fired. I would stand for nothing less than him getting fired. I don't think that they're going to be that. But that's where Katie's caveat is a good question. It's like, what do you expect? What is not a sucky season for a team that played the way they did last year with that high of expectations?
Do you look at the history or do you look at the player ranking? Like that's.
I think 8 wins is a success for A&M.
8-4. God, just back to that, huh?
Okay. Well, do you want the alternative? Do you want another 5-7? Because we can give it to you.
Yeah, because then they'd fire Jimbo. No. I can't have that. No, it's week 2. We're not doing that. We're not doing this.
You've already called for Mike Elko to be your coach.
Clearly. I love Mike Elko. First of all, no, you are not going to gaslight me into doing this. You're not doing it.
You said it before I did.
I know, but you put it in my brain. Subliminal messaging. You want me to talk shit. No, I'm very high on A&M. They're going to beat the shit out of Miami this weekend.
You guys realize that Northwestern has dibs on Mike Elko for next season.
Why the fuck? Hold on.
I'm
about to throw you out.
Academic.
Why would you leave Duke to go to fucking Northwestern?
Big Ten money. Let's start there.
You're at Northwestern. You're the worst place to be.
Okay, all right, let's talk. It's way easier to recruit to Chicago, Illinois than Durham, North Carolina.
I disagree with that.
Clearly not.
I disagree with that.
Durham,
North Carolina is the easy place.
The rivals recruiting rankings over the last 15, 20 years and see who's had better recruiting.
We've clearly seen teams that struggle to recruit to Durham, North Carolina.
Yeah.
Durham's a shithole.
Hey, Northwestern.
You had a job. You had a job. Repeat the last 3 words I say every time. That's your only fucking job.
It's my only fucking job.
Okay, good.
That was 4.
6 words.
Okay.
It's my only fucking job.
Not.
5.
It's my only okay. Well,
math is hard.
Oh
no, it is my own. Not actually. He got it right. Before we continue, factor.
Tell him about it, Jack.
I have a big factor in the upcoming weekend that we need to discuss for the upcoming games, and that is With the busy fall season already in swing, you might be looking for some wholesome, convenient meals for jam-packed days. Saturday's going to be jam-packed. You need that X factor, and that's where Factor meals come in. America's #1 ready-to-eat meal kit can help you fuel up fast with chef. That's right.
It is chef made,
prepared, dietitian approved, ready-to-eat meals delivered straight to your door.
Brandon.
Yeah.
I know that you're going to appreciate this because you're a barbecue guy. You're a guy that appreciates and knows good barbecue.
Oh,
My Factor menu selections the past couple of weeks have been heavy on the barbecue side. And I had a barbecue chicken that had some cream corn and some green beans today. Ooh. My God, you put some hot sauce on that. Factor is so good for so many reasons, but the fact that every week it's a different menu, like it's not the same thing every single week, so you don't get the same meals, your same preferences. It's like it's a fun little game I get to play because I get to go in and select all the new things.
I also feel like now we have a full slate. You don't have the time to run out, go to make something, can't cook because you're going to miss games. Like no games overlap perfectly with a halftime window.
Right.
Yeah.
With Factor,
they're there.
You can run out of the living room, wherever you're watching, and you have your food. You're not going to miss football.
Let me tell you what you need to do right now.
Let me double down on that because I just thought about this. And then you can do that because I just realized, you know what else is the worst when you're watching all those games and you're like, I should order food. And then you wait and you get too hungry. Factor's right there in the fridge.
It's right there. And this past weekend, I got something that wasn't Factor during the middle of the day, and I was so sluggish by the end. Factor is just going to keep me energized for the rest of the day. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to head to factormeals.com/Walker50 right now and use the code Walker50. That's right, Brandon. What's the code?
Walker50, Walker50.
Yep, to get 50% off. That's code Walker50. Say it again, White Sox Dave.
Walker50.
Yep. At factormeals.com/Walker50 to get 50% off. What a deal.
Insane.
What a deal.
What a deal.
What a
We
deal.
love you, Factor. And I'm going to be having some Factor meals soon, probably tonight.
I love Factor.
It truly is delicious. Okay, speaking of delicious, let's get into the slate of games. Let's do our categories for these games. What? Did you?
I'm excited.
I'm excited about the categories.
That was you. Okay, I thought it was him, and I was about to throw him out. Sorry. My apologies to you, sir.
It's me.
Okay. So the categories are: if you can only watch one game, what would it be? What's going to be the most competitive game of the weekend? The player you're most excited to watch? Upset alert? Under the radar game? Those are your 5 categories.
Ooh.
I'm assuming for one game we're gonna take out Bama Texas.
Well, that was my next question. Are we doing the same thing every week where we say?
Here's the thing, guys. Alabama Texas this week is obviously the marquee game.
Right.
So if you were gonna watch any game, I think we would all pick that. So let's not pick that. Let's say
okay. So just want to make sure.
Outside of the Alabama Texas game, what would be the one game if you?
All right, I'm just gonna read Casey's. Casey's just gonna sweep across the board. Nebraska, Colorado, Shedeur Sanders.
Or Travis Hunter.
Travis Hunter. And then she's gonna most excited to watch Deion's pregame speech.
Upset alert.
Upset alert.
First of all,
Nebraska.
You guys are the worst. Second of all, there are so many people that if you ask this question to across the country would say,
are you recording me right now?
No.
Oh, it was like I was like, oh hey guys.
Sorry, I'm just like holding it out. Obviously, Nebraska, Colorado is a game the whole country wants to watch.
No. It's gonna have disgusting.
But I will tell everybody, spoiler alert, that's the only time I'm going to talk about that game on these lists.
Okay,
How about that?
Cool.
Mine's Nebraska, Colorado. I think that, well, first of all, we were going to be there, which sucks. I mean, I'm happy we're going to be at Alabama, Texas, but it would have been really fun to be in Boulder. But, you know, the Nebraska-Minnesota game, we've talked about that over and over. I don't think that Nebraska is going to be a really bad team. I think it is going to take a little bit with Matt Rule. But if Deion and that offense can come out and do what they did again against another Power 5 team and now a Big 10 team, they did it to a Big 12 team. Let's see them do it to a Big 10 team. I think that you know, they start to climb up those rankings quick. They're already ranked, I think, 22. So that game is obviously was that a real display?
Can I say something about that game?
Yeah,
sure.
Better than anyone I know.
Nebraska went on the road and lost to Minnesota.
Yes.
Colorado went on the road and beat TCU, the number 17 team in the country.
Yeah.
This line hasn't moved. It is Nebraska +3. Vegas thinks Nebraska's winning this game.
I have a very so this is a naive gambler thing because I'm
You
still
tell me why this is a 3-point spread.
Can I ask like this is a dumb gambler question, and so I feel like everybody in the room has probably, maybe Katie just because she's so much younger, not gambled as you guys have gambled a lot more. So that's a fair question. I get that, but isn't this the same Vegas that also said that they were going to lose by 21 points last week?
I mean, this is just the market.
Well, first of all, that's week 1, and this is week 2. Secondly,
like I'm not trying to be an asshole. Like I'm legitimately curious how that works when it comes down to it's like, well, yeah, I mean, yeah, it's like begging to take that. It's like they're favoring them. But
hold on. Vegas didn't believe Colorado was going to lose by 20.5 points. Vegas believed it would get the most action off of Colorado at that number.
So do they not believe
that?
Why would they?
Everybody's going to everybody and their mother is going to hammer Colorado.
Right.
So but so then why did
that's why the bet at Colorado?
Yes. But so then why did you say that Vegas thinks that Nebraska is going to win?
Because
it wants people hammering Colorado.
Yes.
No.
Jack?
They do, that's not how they don't take sides like this. They're just trying to get even action. Like they don't take sides like that.
Forget about how they take sides. Why wouldn't this be 7 points?
Okay, so I mean, if you look at there's a lot of public ranking systems out there that get within the number, like 3 to 7 points at a very high rate, including Bill Connolly's SP Plus gets within the spread with like almost 90% within the spread that Vegas has at a 90 to 9 or within 3 to 7 points. And right now, I mean, Colorado's still ranked pretty low. Vegas does not overreact. And that's not Vegas not overreacting. It's people that move lines, people that have massive money. And it's not the Dave Portnoys of the world. There's massive syndicates out there that have and bet college football at large amounts of money. And they have power ranking systems. And there's I don't think there's a power ranking system out there right now that has Colorado as a better team than Nebraska. That may be wrong. That models are all wrong. They're supposed to be wrong. But based upon coming to the season, what the preseason rankings were on their models and who was in the inputs of those, there's no way you would put Colorado above Nebraska. So that's why that number is there. They could be wrong. We see last week 20.5 points. Mm-hmm. So that's why it is. And also, if so many more people were betting Colorado, the line would keep going up.
I think the numbers tell you that's one of the concerns. If you look at the numbers and the reported bet numbers, Colorado is getting bet 90% here. And
but what is the money?
Vegas doesn't lose to 90% of bettors in one single.
Well, first of all, we don't.
Hold on. You're talking too much. Go.
We don't. I don't want to shit on services that we don't. The numbers, the public's betting this, the public's betting that. Obviously, the public's on Colorado here, 100%. That's probably right. But the numbers that are on those websites that we all go to, there's no way we know the actual numbers. That's not how these things work. We know that.
Here's the thing. Colorado went to a team that plays. It's going to be a different game for them. So we're going to see both sides of their team, because last week they went out to TCU and they didn't play very good defense against a team that has a good offense. Mm-hmm. But they played great offensively against a team with no defense. Now it flips. They're going to have to play against a team who has a defense but doesn't have much of an offense. So they're going to have to win a different game. So if Colorado's offense is as good as we saw against a better defense, now you really have to start paying attention. But it will be a much different game. This is not TCU. This is a team that's going to stretch you or press you defensively, not a team that's going to press you offensively. Much different game for Dion.
This is going to be fun. I mean, I'm so excited for it.
Which, to come full circle, is why, I mean, yes, it's like, haha, Casey's going to take Colorado, but like, that's why this game is the one game I could watch outside of Alabama, Texas.
This is the game that on social media will have social media. We talked about this with Andy Staples. We talked about this with others that we had on after when you were on maternity leave. You were still pregnant at the time, I believe. Or no, you had the kid, because what am I saying? All that being said, we interviewed these guys and they were saying, oh, why do you guys, they weren't saying it to us. It's the question, oh, why do you guys talk about Dion so much? Why do you do this? Why do you do that? It's because we've never seen, I'll say right now, I'm going to say it right now. He's bigger than Johnny Football. Bigger than Johnny Football. I think this is the biggest thing college football has seen I don't know since when. It may be the biggest thing college football has ever seen.
Well, I mean, I don't think that's a crazy statement at all because he was already Deion
Dude,
Sanders before.
He's massive. It's unbelievable how big he is.
Yeah,
People are talking about him that don't watch sports.
Well, yeah, because it's the master marketing. This game also, though, is a great indication of how far Matt Rule and Nebraska are from turning that ship around as well. Because if they go into Boulder and they get absolutely killed, Nebraska fans are going to be feeling a little bit differently about that new hire because it's 2 first-year head coaches at their schools. And yes, I understand that, the pop that Deion has is different than Matt Rule, but that's a great indicator for Nebraska fans how excited they can be about the season.
I'm interested to see how many snaps, or I guess how many games of the season we're going to have to see Travis Hunter's snap count drop. Because 112 snaps is great, but he cannot do that every single game. And
he may be able to. He's an alien.
He's healthy.
That motherfucker is not real.
I love that.
At some point, like
he's just an absolute
I'm with you.
Freak of nature.
But he may be. No one. He just may be. He didn't even look tired.
Yeah, I'm not doubting the conditioning. I'm doubting the odds of playing
not getting hurt.
Yeah, no,
playing
100%.
aggressive, not being hurt, and also where's the drop off after that? Not saying I'm curious. I'm not.
Maybe Deion can teach him how to make some business decisions. You're maybe if that running back's coming, don't tackle. Somebody else can tackle him. We need you when people are throwing the ball.
So is that your game too?
No, my game is for most excited.
No, the one that you have to watch if you.
Texas A&M Miami.
That's mine too.
Brandon.
It's also his.
I mean, y'all are just pieces of shit because y'all know I've been hyping up this game for 2 months.
Oh, okay, yeah, but
you could. Well,
also credit to me for not taking my own school there. I could have ruined it with the first answer.
Colorado is more your school than A&M at this point.
Don't you do that.
No, it's like an LSU Ole Miss thing.
I think you have a top 3. Your top 3 are Lincoln, wherever Lincoln Riley is, Deion.
Don't you do that to me.
Brandon, did you just hear what Katie said? She just had an amazing idea. We have to make Casey
a split jersey.
A split jersey.
Don't you guys do this
with Tom Brady?
Yeah, but it has to be 3 ways. It has to be USC, Colorado, and A&M.
Get out of here.
And you'll wear it.
You guys.
Frankly,
no.
The A&M strip is the smallest strip on the jersey.
That is, first of all, that is not true. Okay, you guys know.
I will say we've given her way too much shit for the past 4 or 5 seasons now about Texas A&M. She stayed steady with A&M.
All right, I have. It's my
school.
I'll pick
another game since y'all snipe mine. All right. Give me Ole Miss Tulane.
Okay, nice.
Defense need not apply on this one. I think this could be your 62-50 game. I think this could be one of those games if you like watching high scoring. Lane Kiffin. Tulane beat USC last year. They beat Kansas State, but I kind of think Ole Miss is going to beat the shit out of them. I think they're going to score. So this is going to be your fireworks. Give me Ole Miss Tulane. What's the ranked against ranked?
What's the total in that game?
1 second.
I feel like you have to hammer the over.
Well,
I have
going to hammer Ole Miss. I think they're going to hammer
67.
Oh, 67? Come on.
Go ahead, Jack.
The next category is under the radar, right?
I don't know where we were going to go.
It certainly can be under the radar games, Jack.
All right, I have the best one. I'm going to save it for last. I'm willing. No one will say it.
Well, now I'm curious.
Well,
Katie, you want to go first?
Yeah. I know I'm gonna get poo-pooed. I'm doing this as a nationally under the radar. I know it's very much not, but I think Texas A&M Miami is very under the radar.
That's fair.
You can't pick that as your game to watch and then you're under the radar.
Yes, you can. Not? Do you not remember who she had as her game to watch last week?
I can pick a second one.
Yeah, pick a second one.
You're gonna be the death of him.
Oh, relax. No, I think yes, obviously in this room we're very on top of it, but I think it's going to speak a lot to the 2 teams projection. And Brand's head's in his phone or hand.
Okay. I have
scratching my head.
I have an under the radar game. Head. I don't even know if it's that far under the radar, but I think Wisconsin, Washington State.
You took mine.
Really?
Yeah.
Go last.
No, I know. I wanted to see if it was I.
So we're the shaking hand. Means.
Yeah, I'll pick another one though.
So I guess it is under the radar. So you talk about the Pac-12. We know who the heavy hitters are. A lot of attention on Washington State, they've got a good quarterback. We'll see what happens with them. But this Wisconsin with Luke Fickell and what's going to happen with them. Again, when you get like a two conference matchup with teams where you're really looking to see what they have going into the season, week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, that to me is always so exciting, because if Wisconsin goes in and takes care of business, Wisconsin fans are very high. And then you look at the Big Ten West and you're like, okay, Wisconsin's for real. If Washington State goes in and wins that game, then you look at the Pac-12 and you're like, do you add Washington State to a team that could really make a run with all these quarterbacks and these offenses? I don't know. That to me is the reason it's the end of the radar.
I'll always hate Wazoo though.
Do we have any update with where they're going? Washington State, Oregon State, still nothing, right?
I mean,
They're
Wazoo's
still-
paying for their crimes that they did to the Hawaii, Rolovich. Disgusting. Mine is Auburn Cal. I think that game's gonna rock on Saturday night. I think they may be able to score it's gonna be a really good game.
Interesting too.
Also, they kind of have the same it'll be interesting. The Blues, they have like essentially the same blue. I'm just talking about colors because everybody kept bringing up, and in my Clemson clip I said the color matchup's going to be sick, and they're like, buddy, did you see what people are saying? Like, I focus too much on TikTok, I don't know ball anymore.
Of course. Of course you don't. Brandon, what is your under the radar game?
It is UCF at Boise State.
Ooh.
UCF could be one of the best teams in the Big 12. They looked dynamite in week 1 against a nobody, and Boise State is going to have to bounce back after losing to Washington. I don't think Boise's as bad as Washington made them look. I think Washington is fantastic, but UCF can score. Boise can score. Well, hopefully Boise can score. We'll see. But UCF Boise is my under the radar game. If you look up on Saturday and wow, that game's incredible, that's the game, I think.
Now, I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
If you ever need to go to any of these games, and maybe yesterday planes were down. Like the whole massive plane system was down. That's why you got to have your own car, and you can drive anywhere. And we love autonomous. I want America to be autonomous. And cars.com is a leading digital marketplace that connects car shoppers with their perfect car. This is the first time cars.com has been a part of Unnecessary Roughness, and that's amazing.
That is.
Welcome, cars.com. Thank you. I have no idea how you work American autonomy into this ad, but congratulations to you for doing so.
Jack's the best. He's the best at what he does. So I have not driven a car of my own in, I guess it's like 6 years now, living in the city. And I realized that having a young human being that I have to take care of, it's not as easy to get around. I might need to get a car. Katie, I know what you were about to say. Don't say it.
Minivan.
I'm not doing it. But if you have a minivan out there, that's totally okay. But cars.com is going to say, hey, new mom, you're not a minivan fan? We'll get you a different car. I should just go to cars.com and let them pick the best car for me.
Also, I feel like part of college football season is road trips. You do road trips to away games, go road trips to neutral sites, conference championships. There's something about part of the game day vibe and atmosphere is those long, they kind of suck, but they're rite of passage.
And there's
so
up to 50,000 cars are added daily to cars.com. Shop over 2 million. That's right. 2 million cars for 2 million possibilities. That's right. Find your next possibility
You're
on
on
cars.com. Where to next? Question mark.
If I ever see a cars.com ad on TV and I hear possibilities, I'm just going to think of you.
Well, think of me when it comes to autonomy of the American people as well, because who knows, they're trying to turn off our cars these days anyways. They want them all to be electric so they can shut it off whenever they want. But let's get back into the
let's
slate.
Don't get Jack started. Okay, so Brandon, the next category I'm going to serve up to you first. Who is the player you are most excited to watch in week 2?
Yeah, it's Quinn Ewers. This is a guy that would have beaten Alabama last year if he had stayed healthy, we think. But then he spent the rest of the year being very inconsistent and not really being that primetime player. Like, he had a couple of awful games, had a couple of good games, but he had a couple of awful games and never really developed into the All-American quarterback last year I thought he could. Now, this year, week 1, doesn't matter. They got their numbers, they got their win, but they go into Tuscaloosa, and this is the biggest spot for a Texas quarterback in a decade. This is the biggest possible star-making game for a Texas player in 1 decade, and he's got that opportunity to go in Tuscaloosa, prime time, and steal the spotlight. Right now we're talking Heisman, and week 1 gave us certain players. Jordan Travis, of course. It gave us Shedeur Sanders. It gave us Travis Hunter. But week 2 with this marquee game, somebody could come out of that as one of the best players in the country, one of the top players in the country, and Quinn Ewers is that guy. If he goes in there and is mediocre, they get stuffed in a locker. If he goes in there and is a star, they can win.
If he goes in there as a star, they can win.
Casey?
So Katie's counting the words.
10.
So I went into this exercise the same way that we did last week, and I just didn't put anything with Texas, Alabama. Obviously, Quinn Ewers is high up there on everybody's list. I am looking at Tyler Van Dyke this weekend. Kind of for the same reasons going into the season last year that we were so excited to see him, is that, he was so highly hyped last year and they were so bad. And I don't think that he's near as bad as they played last year. I know he battled some injuries. It was inconsistent, but to see what Tyler Van Dyke and this Miami team can do against an A&M team, and obviously I said obviously twice, but for very obvious reasons, Jesus Christ.
Who's going to be that MVP?
I should not.
MVP.
I should
MVP.
not use the Lord's name in vain. Let me see. For
Who
obvious
should have
reasons.
been- Who should have been?
Who should have been an
should have been
MVP? MVP. Did you see that
Have you
clip of
seen that
Dukes?
clip, Casey?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
that's-
I just, it took me a second though, because my brain is still frozen. I'm still
No,
like
that's one of the
short-circuiting.
most unbelievable Barstool clips of the year. He is, and it's at an event where he's drinking at a place called Bar Down, where at the PLL, and then he's interviewing a child.
A child. A child.
Who should have been? Who should have been? Should have the MVP?
Okay, so let me stop short-circuiting for a second. For obvious reasons of my fandom, I want to see what Tyler Van.
Casey, Katie, can you unplug Casey and plug her back in?
Yeah.
Can you remember the floppy disk you took out and you blew on it for a second and put
Yeah.
it
Somebody restart Casey.
okay, but for obvious reasons, I want to see Tyler Van Dyke and what he can do against this Texas A&M defense. But from a bigger picture standpoint, and I brought this up earlier in the show, the ACC now is so much more interesting because Clemson sucked so bad on Monday night. Florida State looks so good on Sunday. We've got to see what North Carolina can do, like I mentioned. And now with Miami, if they win this game and Tyler Van Dyke puts up the numbers that we thought he was going to be able to put up last year, he solidifies himself as the guy that had all of that hype and that talent that still is clearly in his body, then
It is.
back to my answer. Let's move on.
It is. The talent is. No, I see what you're saying. No, it was just the way you said it.
Tyler Van Dyke is my player.
You see, he just filed a trademark for Tyler
Yeah.
Van Dimes.
I mean,
What to do with that? Just in case. What if you suck and you have Tyler Van Dimes?
it's trademark. You're all right. It is embarrassing. Other teams would use it to make fun of it.
That is
Okay, Brandon. I apologize for
That
my
Miami
short-circuiting.
Florida State game this year is going to be sick.
Jack, who is your player to watch?
All right. I'm going to go with, this is off the radar just to be fun and whatnot. I'm going to go with Bo Nix at Texas Tech. This is his first real game without Kenny Dillingham. Tough game. We already talked about it. White Sox Dave doesn't like this one.
I don't know. Yeah, he
Fucking stinks.
No, he
What? What? He
You
hates
can't
Bo
be here if
Nix.
you're gonna do that. He does not stink.
He might throw up a few fucking all the sexy stats here and there. Bo Nix sucks at quarterback.
That's called being good. The sexy
I got
stats
him.
good.
I got him. Down. Go.
He broke character to shit on Bo Nix.
That was-
what a
he was-
weird
and when I
vendetta.
was
Trying
saying
not
it,
to break
he was
character a
so-
few times today.
He was so mad. He was just shaking his head.
All
It was like I
sucks.
said.
Hold on. Let me step in right here. At the end of this show,
Mhm.
you will have 2 minutes.
Okay,
to
that's
get all your
fair.
takes.
Oh,
All right,
good.
that's
I
fair,
like
that's
that.
fair.
I
I don't
like
mind.
that.
I don't mind.
I'm just
start clapping a
picturing
little bit.
White Sox Dave in front of the bodacious Bo Nix billboards in New York, just pissed, just pacing back
I'm
and
gonna
forth on
set a
Park
timer.
Avenue.
You're gonna have 2 minutes.
Mhm.
So
All
if
right.
you want to, anything that you've been biting your tongue, you can put it down on your list. Okay.
All right. And don't forget to talk about UTEP being favored over Northwestern at
we're gonna get
Northwestern.
there.
All right, Jack. Who is
But Bo, mine's
I like Bo.
Mine's
Nix.
Bo Nix. I
That's the
want to see him
answer.
in his first marquee game without Kenny Dillingham, which I think is a big storyline. And if he last week, obviously it was Portland State, but if he takes care of business against Texas Tech, I'm going to continue to be very high on Oregon.
Is that at Oregon or in Lubbock?
Texas.
Lubbock.
It is in Lubbock.
You remember?
Oh boy.
All
Tell a
right,
show.
Katie?
I'm also going to go on off the radar. I wasn't really impressed with how he played versus UConn, but I still want to see more Brennan Armstrong, Robert and I combination. They played Notre Dame. Just interested to see if that was a fluke or just getting warmed up.
Yeah, I agree.
All right. I'm going to take out the most competitive game category because I think it's repetitive and redundant.
Yeah.
So I will skip to the last category, which is which team should be on upset alert this week. And I have mine. I will go first because if I don't, you're going to take it and I'll get mad.
Okay, go for it. We
I
don't
think
want
the
you mad.
team that should be on upset alert plays their home games in Madison, Wisconsin. They are playing this game in Pullman, Washington. I think Washington State is a live dog. I think they, with the quarterback they have, they're well coached. You know, Wisconsin number, what are they, 17, 18? I don't know what they are.
I think 19.
I don't think
19.
they were overly impressive against Buffalo. In fact, I don't think they were very impressive at all against Buffalo. I think Wisconsin going out, and we've seen these long road trips kind of fuck teams up in the Big Ten in recent years. I remember last year when Michigan State was a top 10 team, they go out to Washington and just get boat raced. Now Washington was better than we thought. But I like Wisconsin on my upset alert, Washington State.
I like it. I already said mine earlier, and we've already talked about this game a bunch. I think Oregon is on upset alert.
Great one. I'm going to go with Notre Dame. I think this one it's tough. If I recall correctly, Sam Hartman did not play great against NC State during his time at Wake Forest. I know it's a completely different school, different offense, whatnot, but NC State's defense is good, and that should be a great game. And I think NC State, that may come down the wire, and we may look on Saturday night and say, man, what happened to Notre Dame? But go ahead.
Oh, no, I was going to say, like a lot of Notre Dame fans just are still very mad at me for what I said about overreacting in week 0. But I'm going to, not that I think people are saying Notre Dame's going to win the national title. That was hyperbole. But what I will say is that I'm very high on Sam Hartman because of what we've seen in the last 2 weeks. And they've played nobody. Now they have played. I mean,
did you see his signal? It was the Antichrist.
What?
Don't do it. Do it because I'm not going to do it either. But he was doing there was hand signals.
He was going skiing.
Yeah.
Yes. But
oh no, I thought it was like
both. He did like several
variations. The Antichrist.
Because I think what he was doing was
he went skiing and then did Gluck Gluck.
Yeah, Gluck Gluck.
Yeah, skiing and then Gluck Gluck.
He did the Gluck Gluck.
Leave it to Katie.
I put it in the chat.
No. She said that it was awesome.
Yeah, no.
Who's on upset alert?
I'm gonna go with I think Tulane over Ole Miss. This is one of those games that I was looking at. I was like, if I wake up Sunday morning, somehow don't see the game and see Tulane and 1, I'm like, yep, makes sense. I can see it happening if the Ole Miss defense isn't ready to go.
I would love nothing more than for that to happen, but I think this is going to be my biggest bet of the day. I think Ole Miss is going to kill them. Just what I think.
I don't care.
All right, so that's good. That's good preview. Are you ready?
Wait, do we?
I'm about as ready as
I'm
I'm.
I'm coming to you in just a second. Yes, Katie.
Should we do what we did last time? Just read down the top.
Yes,
just do the straight up
and pick them. Yes, I like it.
Straight ups.
Pick what?
The game. I'm like, we did and how they ended the last preview episode.
Yes.
Yeah, we did that at the end. You don't have to. We can just go to your
What
buddy.
am I reading down? Every
No,
single
Katie was going to do it.
Okay, go ahead.
Illinois, Kansas.
Kansas.
Illinois.
Wait, no.
I my spidey senses are tingling with Illinois there.
Yeah.
Whatever. Go ahead. Just go.
Illinois.
That's okay. I just whatever.
No. I was trying to. I forgot you said straight up, and then I wanted to know the spread, and whatever. I'll just stick with Kansas.
Notre Dame at NC State.
Notre Dame.
Notre Dame.
Notre Dame close.
Notre Dame close. Yeah.
Utah, Baylor.
Utah,
I think takes care of business.
Utah.
I like Baylor.
Oh, okay, nice.
Nebraska.
I think the coach is too good for that team to suck all year, and I think Utah is a little bit of smoke and mirrors. They're hurting more than you think.
Nebraska, Colorado.
Colorado.
I think Colorado takes care of business. It's
Love
gonna. I think the game's
Welcome,
gonna be
Jeff.
close,
Welcome.
but I think they take
I
care
think
of
Colorado
business.
too. That's more because I'm low.
Brandon?
Nebraska. He's gonna say Nebraska.
My God, don't do this to yourself.
Why? I'm not scared of the fact that this whole company's in a Dion orgy. I'm not going to do it just to do it.
I don't think you should. I think you just whatever.
I'm doing mine because I'm low in Nebraska, not necessarily because I'm fully high on Colorado.
Yeah, I think Colorado too, but I think that line scares the shit out of me if I'm Colorado. If I'm a Colorado fan, that line just destroys my confidence. It just does.
I will give you the benefit of the doubt that it was, and I'm not going to say an orgy, but that there are a lot of people around here, myself included, that got very high on Colorado because of Dion. I don't know how you can watch last week's game and say that picking Colorado would only be because we're all on Dion's side.
Yeah.
That offense was insane last week.
TCU sucks. defensively. They just do.
They still played in the national championship last year. I know they're not the same team.
And I said all year they sucked then too. So this is not a new take for me.
I understand. I still think that's discrediting how good Colorado was last week, but I don't want to revisit this. So
Ole Miss, Tulane.
Ole Miss.
Ole Miss by handsomely.
Ole Miss. Jack.
Ole Miss, yeah, I think Ole Miss, yeah, and I think they're gonna get I think they're kind of good.
I do too.
A&M, Miami.
A&M.
I say A&M.
A&M.
Miami.
Iowa State.
Iowa.
Under.
I don't know who wins, but I know who loses. Everybody who fucking watches it. Iowa handles business though.
Iowa.
And
I think that's the last of Texas, Bama.
Alabama, and I it's gonna be close, but I'm officially I gotta do it.
I'm doing it, Texas.
Yeah, I'm pleading the fifth on that one.
31-27.
I want to enjoy one game without a prediction.
Well, the fun thing is you're gonna have to give one before the game. So
you said you're doing Texas +7.
I know what I'm doing before the game. I'm saving that one. So
okay, yes, don't give anything away.
Fine.
Just go ahead.
Oregon, Texas, Tech.
I think Texas Tech covers,
I
think Texas Tech might win the game.
If I have them on upset alert, I don't know that. I'm going to plead the fifth on that. Before we do White Sox Dave's 2-minute drill or whatever he's doing, a reminder: we will be in Tuscaloosa. We've said it a ton. 4:00 Central, so 4:00 local. 5:00 if you're watching it online. If you're in the Eastern Time Zone,
hell yeah! Excited for you guys.
That was. What? Casey?
It was my battle with time zones again, and I realized
you said 4:00 Central, 4:00 Central, 5:00 online. Like what?
Eastern. I said 5:00 Eastern.
No, that's not what you said. You said 4 Central, 5:00 online. If you're in the Eastern Time Zone,
it works.
It works.
I had a little bit of a Yoda moment. Okay, I said words backwards.
What was the one you said last?
Oh, that was about when we were in Baton Rouge. Listen, sometimes I fight myself with how to explain
the
time
Baton Rouge.
You guys get
hilarious.
it. You guys out there understand time zones. You don't need me to explain them.
No, but the entire company.
Who should have been the MVP?
Yeah, who should have been the MVP?
I have had some short circuits today. I apologize, but not really.
Right,
I mean, White Sox Dave is on the show. Okay, what am I supposed to do?
Everybody, hold on.
We've got an actual timer. Hold it up.
For 2 minutes. Sir, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Are we okay? One question.
That's how I grill my steaks. Yes.
If he says something one of us addresses, I'm assuming we should wait till the 2 minutes.
Nobody's allowed to speak.
Yeah, just let him go. Let him go.
Dialogue.
There we go. Now my timer is ready. And 2 minutes. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Go.
Okay, so I am going to focus my hatred and my takes on 3 players from all walks of the country right now. Well, 2 of them in one area, 1 on the opposite side of the country. I'm going to start with Graham Mertz. Graham Mertz completely fucking stinks. You guys haven't even mentioned that. Graham Mertz blows at football. Next, I'm going to take it to Washington. I'm going to go Michael Penix. Michael Penix fucking blows. Lefty quarterbacks freak me the fuck out. I don't like looking at him. It's awkward, and I don't know why his draft stock is where it is. Next, I am going to go right back to the Pac-12 with Bo Nix. It took him 4 years to be any good. And did you see what happened to him in Georgia last year? He got fucking stumped. He got stumped. He stunk. No touchdowns, 2 picks. He lit it up last year against dog shit defenses. And then finally, Durham, North Carolina is nowhere near the place to live that Chicago, Illinois is. Brandon, my new neighbor, basically has done nothing but gush over how much he loves living in this area. Since he has moved here, it is much easier to recruit to Chicago, Illinois than it is to recruit to Durham, North Carolina for football, especially. You got Big Ten money. You got a brand new stadium that's 2 years away. You're going to be playing in Wrigley Field next year, Soldier Field. You got the best practice facilities in the country, a top 10 academic institution. You were in the Big Ten championship game 2 of the last 4 years. What the fuck would Tim Elko stay at Duke for if Northwestern can double up on his check and say, come to us? He wouldn't. How much time do I got? I got 25 seconds.
No,
they can have the basketball because that stinks too. Northwestern basketball is better than Duke as it is. This is college football. I'll wrap it up here. I did learn a lot today on unnecessary roughness, and I do appreciate them having me on the show. I'm not going to listen again, but it was an enjoyable time. Brandon.
And time. Okay. That was White Sox Dave's incoherent rambling, and that was unnecessary roughness.